So I think we just create that token. Eat the dinosaur. This time now we'll actually do it. Ninjutsu in. Down to 18. And also, ooh, this is where it gets a little fun here. Okay. We can then start really pulling off some shenanigans here. With this, now we can slowly start stripping away our opponent's cards. Hello my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with the latest in budget deck technology. And for today's deck tech, we're going to be going into the Historic Brawl format to play a deck that I'm actually a little excited to play. It's in my wheelhouse. I love playing tribal decks a lot. If you haven't seen my channel already, there's definitely going to be a lot of also token strategies with this deck. And honestly, we can get to victory either by overwhelming our opponent with creatures, we can go completely wide, or we can go completely big, or we can also burn out our opponent, or we can just poison them to death. Either way, however you slice it, this is Rakdos Rat Race. Alright everyone, you know how the drill works. Basically, we're going to need to talk about the stats of the deck before we go right into it. So, we're looking at a Rakdos style of deck where we are playing mostly black and a little bit of red. We're running an average mana curve of about 2.1, which is not too shabby actually for a Historic Brawl deck. We're running exactly 30 creatures in the deck. We have 10 instants, 12 sorceries, 7 artifacts, 7 enchantments, and 36 lands. Now the question I want to ask everyone real quick is it even possible with the amount of limitations that Arena has to actually even put together a decent rat deck? Do we even have enough good rat, rare, and mythics to even put into this?
Yes. That's it.
Newer viewers to the channel may not realize we actually put together quite a while ago in the early part of this YouTube channel a rat deck, and yeah, it was hot garbage. Actually, it didn't even do well in the views, but that's okay. It's a new era, and we're definitely going to make something that's super awesome and way better than that last deck. Real talk for you, everyone. I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. I don't want this deck to go long because every time I try to edit this down, it always ends up being like an 11-12 minute explanation. So I'm going to try to cut this short by basically just rambling off every single card. And then I'll talk about very specific key cards that you want to keep in mind while playing this deck. So overall, we're looking at in the 1-2 drop slot, we have cards like Drainpipe Vermin. We have Typhoid Rats. We have Nezumi Prowler, Blightbelly Rat. We have Burglar Rat, Nezumi Informant, Pack Rat, Piper of the Swarm, 6 copies of Rat Colony, Ruin Rat, Skull Snatcher, Tangled Colony, Ratcatcher Trainee, and Tattered Ratter. For the 3 and 4 drop slots, we're looking at Chitterfang Skitterling, Lord Skitter's Sewer King, Lord Skitter's Butcher, Nezumi Blade Blesser, Voracious Vermin, Nashi Moonsage's Scion, Karumex the Rat King, Moltokai Ambusher, Mad Ratter, Marrow Gnawer, and Ogre Slumlord. Real quick with these creatures, there's going to be a couple key ones I'm going to want to talk about. In the early part of the game, a lot of your cheap rats, they don't really do too much on their own, but they can definitely add up a lot of additional value. Some of the cute little synergies that you have with them, such as your Rat Rogue here, your Nezumi Informant, or Burglar Rat, flip these out utilizing the ninjutsu ability of some of our ninja rats. So cards like Nezumi Prowler can help us out with that. Cards like Moltokai Ambusher. So these, if you have out one of your cheap rats, ideally like Burglar Rat here, put this out, discard opponent's card, then swing with it if they don't have anything out. Bring in Wizarding Ninjutsu, your Rat Ninja, and then that gives this a little bit more utility because then you could replay these cards and make your opponent discard some more cards. It's actually a really sweet little synergy. I highly recommend that. Other cards that can help you out with these among them are going to be cards like Tattered Ratter, which can then allow you to be much more aggressive versus our opponent. Your finishers, of course, are going to be cards like Marrow Gnawer here, which is actually really sweet here. Let's talk about this card real quick for a second here. Marrow Gnawer is a 5-mana legendary rat rogue, and it gives all rats fear. Fear specifically says that these cards cannot be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures. So against specific decks, Marrow Gnawer is a sweet finisher. You can also tap it to sack a rat and then create X 1/1 black rat creature tokens where X is the number of rats you control. So kind of like, what's his name? Well, what's the name of that goblin that actually does that too? You get the idea. You'll see it on screen in a second. My editor will add that in. And then finally, Ogre Slumlord is also a really sweet card here. This is a 5-mana Ogre Rogue where it says whenever another non-token creature dies, you may create a 1/1 black rat creature token, and rats you control have death touch. So it allows our creatures to go very aggressive if we have that out because everything has death touch for us. The other sweet rats that I want to point out that are key for our deck are going to be Karumonix the Rat King. Really awesome card for us, and it provides all of our rats with Toxic 1. So it gives us a plan B to the deck where we can beat our opponent out with poison counters. In terms of another way we can then start getting some more utility, we have the newest card from Wilds of Eldraine, Lord Skitter Sewer King. This 3-mana rat noble allows us to exile up to 1 target card from an opponent's graveyard. whenever a rat enters the battlefield. And also, it creates rat tokens on its own, so it's an extremely powerful card and very sweet for us. Otherwise, again, I won't talk about every single rat in the deck, but you basically get the idea. All of them will provide different utility in different ways, shape, or form. Some of them go super big, such as Rat Colony, and then some of them allow us to go super wide by creating rat creature tokens. Now, as far as additional first support for the deck, the instant sorceries are as follows. You have Fatal Push for removal, Malachor Rebirth to bring something back, or it also comes in as a tap land. Rat Out is also additional removal, creates a rat token. Village Rites can help us sack to gain some more value. Whisper the draws proliferates and also puts a -1/-1 on a creature to finish him off. Spikefield Hazard also can be great for a quick early game removal or a tap land. Deadly Dispute, same thing, sack your creature to get some more value and a treasure token. Heartless Act for more removal. Sheoldred's Edict for more removal. Cathartic Pirate can be removal, or it can be looting effects to ensure that we can draw to action we need. For additional removal in the sorcery category, we have Annihilating Glare, we have Bone Shards, and Eaten Alive. These are all great for us. If you're seeing a ton of tokens, you end them with End the Festivities. You can also use this as kind of like a pseudo after combat trick to ensure that your opponent's creatures can get destroyed, even if, say, like they took a little bit of damage from your rats. Drown in Fear for additional removal, and Proliferate. Feed the Swarm, also removal, and also great against enchantments. Angrass Rampage will take care of the artifact specifically, but also takes care of creatures and planeswalkers. Call the Death Dweller can bring back a couple of our other cheap rats in the early game and give them Death Touch. We also have Gruesome Realization, can also be helpful for drawing cards, but also we can use it as cheap removal. Our major removal is going to be Crippling Fear here, which we can then -3/-3 on creatures that are not rats, basically. And then another sweet finisher for us is Song of Totentanz. For artifact and enchantment support, we will then be utilizing cards like Kaya's Ghost Form. Put this ideally on your commander to make sure that they stay alive. We have Okiba's Reckoner's Raid. Not really anything that's super powerful rats, but it also does a little bit of life gain and drain, and also it gives us a rat rogue when it flips over. Also, we created with that, of course, a copy of High Speed Hoverbike. I know this card really doesn't do anything for rats, but I did it for flavor purposes, so I had to throw that in there. Vat of Rebirth provides us with incremental recursion. Again, it takes a while for it to start up, but it's really powerful and very good. Warlock Class can help slowly drain out our opponent, which also creates for us a bit more value as the game goes into the late part of it. Tribute to Hirobi creates for us some rat tokens, but it's sweet because it can flip and also becomes a flying haste spirit, which is great for us for evasion. Goblin Bombardment actually doesn't have to care about goblins. We can actually sacrifice all of our rats to just ping out our opponent and finish them off. Speaking of more pinging, we also have Impact Tremors here, which is also sweet because it'll ping our opponent for every rat that pops up onto the battlefield, or actually any creature for that matter. Arcane Signet and Phyrexian Atlas are our mana rocks. Phyrexian Atlas specifically is sweet because if we can get some poison counters on our opponent, they will start draining themselves out. Bastard of Remembrance also can help us life gain and drain versus our opponent as we sack rats and also be aggressive with them. Ferocity of the Wilds can force our opponent to do some bad blocking here, but also because it gives our creatures attacking +1 and trample, which ensures that we can force through damage no matter what. And then to round out the land package, we have 16 swamps, 5 mountains, and a hodgepodge of all the tap lands that you can think of that we can utilize for the deck. But otherwise, that's the whole game plan for you in a nutshell. Is it possible for our rats to do their thing? Can we beat our opponent with this super janky rat plan that we have?
Good question.
Well, there's only one way to find out. So after just exhausting myself from all that talking, we're now going to take this deck, of course, into Historic Brawl and see how well it performs. But before we continue, if you do like any of the content that I do, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you watch the content so you don't miss out on any of the gameplay, booster pack openings, deck decks, and so much more. Alright, my fiery friends, here we go. We are playing our Rat Race deck here in Brawl, and okay, so what do we have right now? Looks like we have a couple of rats already. We can definitely start getting our stuff off. We have Ninjutsu. Maybe we can do a little bit of shenanigans with Burglar Rat and the Ambusher. Let's keep this. Let's see if we can pull off some fun stuff here. Alright, and we'll put down the Paramorphic commands first, and we'll pass. Okay, so obviously our opponent is playing dinosaurs, so we're definitely going to try to see if we can just overwhelm them first. Get a swamp. Got another swamp, which is great. Okay, mountain. We will play Burglar Rat. Force them to discard. This is actually a really sweet little mini combo here that you can do with these two cards.
Prize tool that can help us later.
Alright, another tap land for our opponent. Great. That really helped us out. So, okay, swamp here. We will swing. Oh, actually, I just realized I forgot to do that. Okay, that's okay, everybody. We're still going to be able to pull off some stuff here. We'll put down Lord Skitter's Sewer King anyway. Okay, so they threw away the Zalcatal. That's interesting. Alright, another land in some Petal Grove. Will they be casting anything anytime soon? There we go, Wayward Swordtooth. Cannot attack or block unless you have the City's Blessing. So that gives us actually a little bit of time to work with here, which is really nice for us. Swamp here. So I think we just create that token. Eat the dinosaur. this time now we'll actually do it. Ninjutsu in. Down to 18. And also, ooh, this is where it gets a little fun here. Okay. We can then start really pulling off some shenanigans here. With this, now we can slowly start stripping away our opponent's cards. Okay, well, the deck is pulling off its stuff here. Still cannot attack or block unless they have 10 permanents, which is nice for us. Okay, so they have Domri. Are they going to do their fight? No, they will not. Interesting. Okay. So how many permanents do they have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 8. Okay. We will... How do we want to do this? How do we want to do this, everybody? Okay, so I think with that... We bring in our commander now. Make another rat. It comes in tapped, but that's okay. We can still keep eating our dinosaurs here. Swing with these 3 and see what they do. Okay, so with that... Give that death touch. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean it goes away, but we do get to do some more triggers here, so we get to eat that dinosaur too. Wow, this is actually kind of working here. This is actually pretty sweet. Colossal Majesty. Alright, well, they're going to start drawing some cards here, so we definitely need to start going a little bit more wider here. They triggered the fight mechanic. Annoying, but that's okay, everybody. We just bring back our commander for a little bit. We can make another token. Key to the city. Alright, they're all tapped out now. Wait, they don't have the city's blessing yet. Okay, so that's fine for us. Pack rat. We will then play rat colony. We keep going off here. Wow, this is actually starting to work here. Okay. Alright, opponents. You're down to 8. Can they hold on? Can we actually win here? Is this possible? I think we can actually do this. Dinosaurs are definitely scary, but the biggest advantage, of course, is we have is the fact that we're pretty small here. We can do our thing. Oh, okay. What do they have here? Dinosaurs. Interesting. This is probably where Tattered Ratter can now come in, and this is going to help us out, too. Alright. Well, they give up now their creature. We lose Lord Skitter, but that's okay. Alright. Dross Force Bridge. We will then bring in our Swarm Piper, since they're all tapped out at this point. I thought about doing Tattered Ratter, but that's okay. I think with this we should have enough to just force our way through and finish them off. If not this turn, definitely next turn. They're down to 2. We make another rat. It's actually working, everybody. This is pretty awesome. Do you give up, opponent? Is there anything left? Nope, they are done. We got there, everybody. That's it. That's how you do rats, everybody. All right, my fire friends, here we go. We are playing in the Historic Brawl format, our rat race deck, and, well, we definitely have quite a few rats here, and we also have a high-speed hover bike. I know, I put that in for flavor purposes. Remember, I did that. Otherwise, maybe we can get there with what we have. I think we should be fine, right? I mean, they're playing Yenna. Okay, that's an interesting choice. Haven't seen this actually in action yet, so I'm not sure what to expect except a bunch of enchantments, so we'll see how that goes. Put this all black, but now it could also be red. With that, we will play Swamp. Play the Tribute to Horobi. They may get some free tokens for now, but we'll get them back in a little bit, so that'll be fine for us. Weaver of Harmony. Okay. Number 24. Another Swamp. They make another rat. With that, we will play Totentanz. Alright, our Pied Piper is down, everybody. Enchantress is present. Okay, well, they're about to go off here pretty quick, but that's okay. That's fine, everybody. Take a little bit of damage here, but we will now get those rat tokens back. Back under our control. Thank you. With that, we put a Swamp down. We will play High-Speed Hover Bike. Tapping that Harmony out of the way. We will play Tangled Colony. Go swinging here. Do we sacrifice a rat right here? No, I don't think we need to. Not yet. Down to 20. Pass the turn here. Well, we definitely have now a lot of rats on our side, which is great for us. And then... Okay, Yenna is coming down. That is a choice. Alright, ooh, Ingrass Rampage. Well, that's actually nice for us. So with that, we will Ingrass Rampage. They will have to sacrifice a creature here. It has to be the Weaver of Harmony, though, but that does slow them down quite a chunk. So with that, Rat Colony. Turn on high-speed hover bike. Didn't think I actually would use this, but okay. That still works for us. Keep back our rogues. Do we sacrifice a creature here? Nah, we don't. Down to 15. Oddly enough, the high-speed hover bike actually kind of helps us here because it has flying, so that's actually kind of sweet for us. Next turn, though, we'll have open mana, so we can then start getting a lot more aggressive in putting down some more rats that can then have death touch, and then our opponent actually would have to be very careful as to what they need to block, so that should help us out a bit here. Warlock class. Ooh, okay. Well, that's not too shabby either. We will trigger that, so that way we can dig. What do we get? Let's see. Do we get another rat colony, or do we want the Bastion? What's better here? I think the Bastion of Remembrance. So with that, let's go swinging. And then no sacrifice. Let's see. We're going to get super cheeky here. I know this is weird, but let's see if our opponent does anything. They do. Okay, well, that's fine. Alright, so death touch on that. We get rid of their commander, which is great. They're down to 1. Okay, that's exactly what we wanted, everybody. We put it back, and we'll put down Secluded Courtyard on rats. And there you go, everybody. We beat our opponent there. That was actually pretty awesome. I don't know if our opponent actually realized that Totentanz there actually was able to give our creature death touch, so I was really shocked that they actually took that. All right, my fire friends, here we go. We are playing our Rat Race deck here in Historic Brawl, and okay, so we have plenty of lands, which is great for us, and we do have a couple of rats here. We're going to keep this, and hopefully we'll just draw into more rat action. With that, also, we have our Maestro's Theater for turn 1, so we can then definitely get exactly the mana we need to get out our Swarm Piper. Opponent is playing Phylat. Okay, well, that's interesting. They're going to also go wide with some tokens here, but they also are going to go big, too. So we're really going to have to rely on our commander's Death Touch ability. Let's see how this all plays out, everybody. So with that, Maestro's Theater coming down. Auto Sacks, so we get out a mountain. Okay, so now at least we have our mana fixed perfectly. Time to start playing our threats. Lotus Cobra. Oh boy. Well, that's going to be something we need to get rid of ASAP. We can't allow our opponent to start doing their thing. So, Drain Pipe Vermin. Okay, they're making their mana. Topiary Stomper. Oh boy. Definitely going to start going off here. Lotus Cobra doing his thing. Okay, this can't attack or block yet, so we need to just get through that quick. Oh wow, opponent was getting a little cheeky there. Okay, but otherwise, Swamp. We will play Blight Belly Rat. Go swinging here. I'm assuming our opponent does not block. With that, Eaten Alive, we will sacrifice our Drain Pipe Vermin. Get rid of that permanently. Okay, well at least we can slow down our opponent's ramp just for a little bit. That's fine. Tireless Provisioner. No other lands for opponent, which is good for us. So with that, Swamp. Totentanz coming in. Typhoid Rat. We go swinging here. Do you block opponent? Wow, okay, they actually have removal. Okay, well that's fine. Annoying. We still make a rat token at least. We put a poison counter on them, so okay, well, at least we got another alt-win con set and started. Vastwood Scourge. We make a bunch of land triggers. Alright, with that, Kaya's Ghost Form. That's helpful for sure. Bring back the Piper. We will swing. Does our opponent block? Do not. Down to 19. 2 poison counters are on board. Phylat coming in. Make a bunch of... Okay, well, we're starting to go off here, which is frustrating, but that's okay, everybody. We still have ways of getting around this. No blocks. We're down to 18. Alright, and the festivities. Ooh, okay. Well, that's not too shabby for us. So with that, Field of Ruin. Kaya's Ghost Form. On the Swarm Piper, so we have a way of keeping it alive. We will Rat Colony. We have a 5/1. And the festivities. Get rid of all the plant tokens at the very least, so not too bad, okay. With that. No attacks. Okay, so all we just need right now is just some of our more bigger rat payoffs, and we should be fine to stabilize here, even though we are a little out of action here. That's a little awkward. That's okay. Wow, okay. Move into the command zone? No, because we're going to get it back in just a second, everybody. Watch. We will put another poison counter on them, so we're at 3. Pumping up that Topiary Stomper, so we need to get rid of that ASAP. That's going to be a problem for us. Okay, unfortunately, we can't block with it. That's awkward. That's okay. Down to 6. Do we have what it takes to survive this? Can we at least overwhelm our opponent? Normally, that would be nice early on, but Heartless Act actually doesn't help us here because we don't have a way of dealing with that. Okay, here's how we do this. We just swing, I guess, because we can't block with any of our rats anyway. Does our opponent block anything? They do not. Down to 14. Heartless Act. Converting that. I don't think we really have a way of dealing with this, everybody. Well, that's fine. They recast it anyway. So, I guess that's it for us. We had great removal, but it was the wrong removal at the wrong moment. If we had any other removal, we would have been just fine and we would have stabilized. Unfortunately, our opponent just kind of blew us out here. Even if we removed the counters, it wouldn't have mattered. As you can see, they're just going off here, so...
Well, this stinks.
I'm not mad at all. I'm not even going to bother blocking. Just take their damage, and, well, that's game, everybody. Well, that was unfortunate, everybody. I mean, every time we fight, anytime we deal with ramp decks, we have a hard time dealing with them in a budget, but that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. And there you have it, everybody. So that was our Rat Race deck for Historic Brawl. And you tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Would you play this deck in any way, shape, or form? Personally, to be honest with you, it actually performed a lot better than I thought, so I was really happy with how it turned out. That's basically all I'm just going to say, folks. It's fun, and it's actually surprisingly much more effective than I thought it was. There are going to be some matches where you're going to have some struggles, but I wouldn't take that away from the deck. It's still very awesome. And those of you that are interested in a different way of playing a tribal deck or rat tokens, play this, and it's honestly really awesome. So as far as upgrades for the deck, here's what I'm going to recommend for you. So we can remove some of those rat colony cards if you want to, but I'll explain why I didn't do it for the main deck in a second here with some changeling cards. So Maskwood Nexus can help us create some more tokens. Bloodline Pretender, Birthing Vows, Universal Automation, Changeling Outcast, just to name a few. Yes, there are going to be some more utility stuff such as Venomous Changeling and Graveshifter, but the main reason we didn't use any of these in the actual budget deck, although technically in paper, actually, rat colonies are actually a lot more expensive than these cards, is it's mostly because your rat colonies actually pump themselves up on their own, so they actually become very big, very powerful if our opponents don't bother dealing with them. So that's why I wanted to keep those in the main deck. However, if you do want to play this in paper, ironically, the changeling cards themselves would actually be your more budget option for you, and also they provide some more unique utility. So something as to keep in mind if you want to look at options, if you want to actually build this in paper or at least on Arena. As far as other upgrades that you might want to consider will be cards like Roiling Vortex. This, of course, will shut down your opponent's life gain, so very annoying against us, but we can definitely deal with it. Priest of the Forgotten Guards is another great utility card that helps us do some sacking, draw some cards, and also drain out our opponent while also giving us a little bit of ramp after we sacrifice a couple creatures. Other cards that you want to look at, Shared Animosity here is extremely powerful and very helpful in the deck since we're running mostly a rat tribal deck, so keep that in mind if you want to look at that. Since we're doing a lot more sacking, other upgrades could be cards like Grave Pack, very powerful and very helpful against our opponent, so we can definitely kind of shut them down quickly if they're a creature heavy deck. Beseech the Mirror, definitely, I don't have to even explain this card. This is something that just helps us tutor out what we need and gets out exactly the rat we need on the spot, as long as it's at least 4 or less. If it's 5 or over, such as your Marrow Gnawer, you can still get it into your hand, but you just won't be able to cast it for free. Other cards that you may want to consider as a utility will be cards like Invoke Despair. And then in terms of Planeswalkers to look at, Liliana Dreadhorde General doesn't make rats, but of course it's stationary ability where it allows us to draw cards whenever a creature we control dies is very helpful for us. It can be great in the late game. But otherwise, if you pick any other card, I would personally pick Vraska Betrayer Sting. Very helpful. It doesn't really create any actual other creature tokens or anything like that, but it can get some treasures out there for us by turning our opponent's stuff into them, or we can keep drawing cards and proliferating, which can be very powerful as long as we have at least one poison counter on our opponent. And to round out on the other suggestions I'm going to say is, obviously, if nothing else, upgrade your mana base. Get any of the dual lands you can. Even Temple of Malice is better than nothing. So all of these are great for you. Castle Lockwind can help you draw cards, and of course Hive of the Eye Tyrant to round it out can give us something that can add additional graveyard hate to the deck. But before we just wrap this up, here are my final thoughts I want to give on the deck. Overall, as you saw, it's definitely a very highly synergistic deck. It's a lot of fun to play with, and there's definitely multiple ways you can get to victory. Also, if you are interested, definitely I try to build these decks as much as I can with the least amount or ideally no alchemy cards. So this way, if you are a fan of this, you can actually put it together in paper, and maybe you can actually make it into a full-fledged EDH/Commander deck if you do want to try that out. But otherwise, if you are a fan of Rakdos midrange, if you're a fan of Sacrifice synergies, if you're a fan of Rat Tribal and you want to put this all together and give it a slight twist while also giving yourselves alternate win cons, by all means give this deck a try. And I assure you, when you overwhelm your opponent with your rat army, when you want to toxic them out and put a ton of poison counters on your opponent, or maybe you just want to burn them out with a bunch of little rat tokens, definitely give this deck a try, and I assure you, you will have a lot of fun with it and definitely not be disappointed. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone. And just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later.